When we think of the word leader, we think of a person who leads a large group of people and maybe someone who inspired a lot of people. When we think of the word legacy, we think of someone who has left a part of themselves and their history in this world long after they're gone. Someone who continues to impact our lives and someone who is still recognized for the good and sometimes the bad things they did in their lifetimes. But the real question here is, who do we think of when we hear the words leadership and legacy? For us and many others, that person is Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou was born in St. Louis, Missouri on April 4, 1928. At the young age of 3, her parents divorced, sending Maya and her brother Bailey to live with their grandmother in Stamps, Arkansas. In Stamps, Maya began to experience the hard times of racial discrimination, but she also experienced things that would influence her later on in life, such as deep religious faith and the love and support of her grandmother and extended family. At the age of 7, things took a turn for the worse when Maya was visiting her mother in Chicago and her mother's boyfriend sexually abused and raped her. Not feeling comfortable enough to tell any adults, she told her brother Bailey. According to Achievement.org, when she later heard the news that an uncle killed her attacker, she felt that her words had caused the death of the man, and she became mute for nearly 5 years.
Molested. And then had the person killed. I mean, the person who did the rape, in my case, was killed. And the police came to my maternal grandmother's house while I was on the floor playing a game with my brother. By that time, I was about 7.5. And the policeman told my grandmother, within my hearing, that the man had been found dead, and it seemed he'd been kicked to death. It so startled me. It traumatized me.
During the long years of silence, Angelou found her love for the arts and literature. At 14, she even dropped out of school to pursue writing full-time, but later returned to school at the age of 17, earning her diploma, and soon after earning her diploma, she had her first son. According to RelevantMagazine.com, Angelou's second autobiography, Gathered Together in My Name, recounts the struggles of being a single parent and the slide into poverty, which forced her to work as a restaurant cook and prostitute. These unique experiences are no doubt the inspiration for most of her iconic writings. In the years to come, Angelou continued to be involved with the arts, becoming a dancer, and she even recorded an album, Miss Calypso, which not many people know about today. The most popular song being Run Joe.
And as Joe ran out, Brother Mo, he began to shout, Run Joe, hey, the man's at the door, Run Joe, the man, he won't let me go, Run Joe, as fast as you can, Run Joe, this police holding me hand.
In 1969, Maya published her first autobiography, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. The second autobiography that was published was Gathered Together in My Name, which was mentioned earlier. Maya didn't just write autobiographies, she also wrote poetry collections such as Oh Pray My Wings Are Gonna Fit Me Well and I Shall Not Be Moved. Although having a rough childhood and teenage years, Angelou overcame all of the bad and made a hero of herself. This is a stanza from one of her most famous poems, Still I Rise. Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean leaping and wide, welling and swelling I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise.
I wrote the poem for all of us, all of us. There's something so unimaginably exciting about the human being.
But Maya is not known just for her writing, dancing, and singing, although it is an important part in her career. Maya is also known for her work with the famous Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. According to Stanford.edu, in 1960, Maya Angelou accepted the position of Northern Coordinator for the New York office of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, also known as SCLC. It was in this capacity that Angelou first met King. Although she worked with the SCLC for only 6 months, King was grateful for her contribution, particularly the coordination of many fundraising ventures. In her autobiography, The Heart of a Woman, she discussed her first impressions of King. He was shorter than I expected, and so young. He had an easy friendliness which was unsettling. Maya was very fond of King, and he inspired her. In an interview, she was asked, "How did Dr. King influence your life?" She replied with, "It is not past tense for me. Dr. King continues to have an impact on my life, as he does upon the lives of many people in the world. A dream, an idea, never dies. It might go in or out of fashion, but it remains." As you can see, we feel the same way about Maya as she did about Dr. King. Even after her death, she continues to inspire us with her writing, her music, her speeches. She has impacted our lives in a way that can never be forgotten. Her legacy is forever in our minds and our hearts. When Maya Angelou died on May 28, 2014, at the age of 86, thousands of people around the world shook with devastation.
Learning up to our very last conversation, the Sunday before she died. It has been difficult for me to try to put into words what it means to lose, as Cicely said, our rock.
I was so completely awed and overwhelmed by her presence. I barely concentrate on what she was saying to me. But while I don't remember her exact words, I do remember exactly how she made me feel. She made me feel like I owned the place too.
We're calling this memorial service a rising celebration of joy, because my mother loved the concept of joy. She felt that it was an important emotion to keep in one's life.
Oprah Winfrey, the First Lady, Michelle Obama, and Maya's son, Guy Johnson, were few of the many people to speak of Angelou at her memorial service. This woman touched the hearts of every single person involved in her life, and even the people who weren't involved and were just fans and had never met her. She stole our hearts, and she will forever be in our hearts. Maya Angelou was a fantastic leader and left an even more fantastic legacy behind that will last forever.